doing outside of the music and the touring jag. And I think probably a lot of people want to know, Meg, what kind of stuff you're interested in outside of White Stripes and what kind of stuff keeps you busy? Or do you like to be busy, or do you prefer just to have some downtime?
I do. I mean, I become a hermit and just read a lot of books and watch a lot of movies when I'm home. Usually,
Yeah.
I haven't had much time, at all to do anything at home.
You're speaking nothing of your scientific research.
Oh, well,
this is kind of what I was hinting towards. I was just trying to provoke a little.
Don't let her trick you,
Man. I'll tell you, 70% of the questions we've been asked on the message board are all related to Meg and something to do with marriage. Seriously, there's one in here. What's the great one in here? I've got to see if I can find it.
You mean my secret that I'm a robot?
What, sorry?
There's a rumor going around that Meg has been replaced with an android, and that all of our lyrics and album artwork are evidence that she's an android.
I love it. I can't find the question, damn it. But it definitely it revolves around, would you please leave the White Stripes and come and make rubbish music with me? Not referring that your music is rubbish.
Sounds pretty good.
But just the music they would make would be rubbish. But I think it's a pretty solid offer, I think.
That sounds pretty good.
I might think about that in a couple months.
You recorded the album once again with Liam at Tyrag Studios, and he's had a busy year.
Yeah, it's been. Well, I think that place is just brilliant. People are starting to take notice of how amazing, he's got it set up there in Hackney. So I think everyone should check that out. I recommend that to anybody recording. It's so realistic and so far away from this Pro Tools and digital technology and all that you can't help but force yourself to be creative.
How'd you find it in the first place?
Well, we had heard Billy Childish records, and a lot of sort of London garage rock bands had recorded there. We liked the tones that were coming out of it, and then a friend of ours from the band Henchmen in Detroit went there and recorded some 45, and he was telling us how great it was. So.
That's the one thing about listening to really great old records by artists, whether it's Betty Harris or the Meters or whatever, is that you sit there and you think, God, I would love to recreate those sounds, but I'm never going to be able to find a studio that hasn't actually sort of moved with the times and upgraded for the last 25 years. I mean, that's a real diamond in the rough, isn't it, Tyrag?
Yeah, you can find the same equipment in other studios in America and things, but you can't. They also, in addition to it, have all this sort of computer and digital stuff. So you kind of get in arguments with engineers and to keep away from that because it's supposed to make the job easier in their minds, but it's also kind of, I think, destroys creativity a little bit and gets away from honesty, I think.
Liam is not somebody you necessarily have to convince to keep the the personality of records.
No, he's really good. He's a great engineer.
What's the button that he has? Because Dolph was telling me he's got some button.
Filth knob.
That's it, right?
Filth knob, yeah.
Primarily for solos, I hear.
That's what I heard, yeah. And we didn't use the filth knob on this one, I can't.
I tell you used some knob because the solos on the record, to me, that's one of the sort of standout features of the whole album. You've done solos before, but these ones, you've got sounds, really unique sounds for solos, like a lot of overdrive, but it's very clean as well. It's quite amazing. I don't want to be too sort of spotty here, especially a lot of people probably haven't heard the album yet, but the solos are outrageous. Have you been storing these sounds over time?
Well, I never let myself do guitar solos. I sort of relaxed that rule in the band for this record because I've never, maybe only one or two in all the recordings I've ever done. So there's a lot on this album. I just sort of felt it was time to give myself a little present.
You're wailing, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
So much of the music that you guys are making is based around the discipline of keeping it authentic to a sound that you obviously have in your head and that you've been inspired by growing up.
Right.
It's not so much, in a way, it's not as kind of, it's pure, but it's not as pure as just sitting down and wailing out because you have these rules in front of you as to how each album has to be made and has to sound.
Yeah.
Has it always been that way?
Well, we've always just, this band has always been about limiting ourselves, always keeping ourselves in a box, revolving as many things around the number 3 as we can, and always not opening ourselves up to opportunity and excess. Sort of like a band in our position could go to Los Angeles, record in a huge studio with a big producer and spend $1 million in 6 months working on it, and record on Pro Tools and record 500 tracks on a song. And all that is so far away from the honesty of what we're trying to get down to. If artists don't make up rules for themselves and limitations, and they're open to any ideas, and it sort of ruins what they got involved in writing music in the first place. Maybe we can put all these limitations on ourselves and maybe still not come up with anything interesting, but at least it gets us closer to honesty, because we're forced. When you say we have 2 weeks to record an album and we have to figure something out, we have to come up with something, and have nothing to fall back on. crowd, no other people to help us. The same way live, you know. I mean, we have it tough. We put it very tough on ourselves live. You know, we don't use a set list, and we don't rehearse, and you know, we don't have any other musicians to fall back on, and we don't play it exactly like it is on the album. And so we really make it tough on ourselves to really come up with something for that moment. You know, so it feels special and spontaneous at that moment. So
you've let the crowd come to you throughout doing that. You know, in a way, you've set the tone from very early days, and therefore, by the time you guys have become popular and earned yourselves a really strong audience, they're expecting to hear this sound like the White Stripes. They're not expecting you to go into the studio with Bob Rock, you know, and spend $2 million and make a record. You know, you've done it the smart way. You've set it up. You've gone that way. You seem more satisfied than the first time we met. I mean, the first time we met, it was very crazy for you guys. I mean, the Enemy, you know, putting you on the cover of the magazine, and I don't even think you had your album out at the time.
Right.
And I mean, they took a big punt, and you know, they were right. You know, fairness, they were right to put you on the cover. But you seemed a bit freaked out by it. You know, was there a certain time when you decided? And then, you know, we hooked up at Reading last year, and you were just so chilled. You know, was there a time when you guys sort of thought, you know, we should enjoy this. We shouldn't be so stressed out about what everybody else.
Yeah, we were very worried at the beginning because we'd been doing whatever we wanted to for so long, and we thought that sort of the English press was going to make us popular for a month and then hate us, you know, and then we would be left holding the bag. So we were really angry about it at first because we didn't know how to handle it, because it was so, we didn't have, you know, when all that attention came at us, we had no lawyer, no manager, no publicist, and it was just me, Megan, and someone selling records, you know, on tour. We didn't know anything about that. We weren't signed to a label. So
how are you handling now? You do have management and stuff. I mean, obviously it makes things easier in terms of organising tours and stuff like that, but do you find that it's more politics to have to deal with and more people to have to call and arrange things rather than just going direct to the source?
Yeah, it's good. Everything still has to be brought in front of us first, you know, to approve of it. And then I think there's people just got to handle all the insaneness of phone calls and things like that, you know. And but no decisions are made without us making it, you know.
Definitely seem like you're enjoying it. I mean, even when I saw you guys at the MTV US Awards or whatever, you know, the VMAs and stuff, and you were sitting there, you looked so dapper, you know. And I think you were like sitting behind someone who won a whole host of awards. There was someone who kept standing up, and you guys were always there, and you seemed to be digging it.
It's because it kept changing the places of who was sitting in front of us.
Really? Why?
It changed on the. If you're about to get an award, they put you closer to the front.
Oh, okay.
So like when people would get up.
Completely fake.
And that's because we don't want any empty seats. So every time anyone gets up, they put someone else in their seat.
It's so funny. Every now and then the director makes a bum call and pulls a big wide shot, and it's just like half the auditorium's empty. Everyone's in the bar basically getting wasted.